Okay, I got it. I'm sorry. Always something. Is there sound at least, I think? Oh, it looks like there's sound because my little meter's bouncing around. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad. I'm so glad all of you are here and so patient with me every week. I don't know why I can't get the stream just to go smooth for once without any technical difficulties, right? But let's see who's here. We have Barry, an old player, Dave Nelson, Peter. Good to see everybody. Pete, Precipus, awesome. Nature with Music. Good deal. Man, everybody's here. Steve G. See, Christian Johannes Eppel. Awesome. I love that name. I think I mentioned that before. That's great. And David Crooks, good to see you. Oh, I got your email about the we're gonna go do sunflowers on Sunday morning, right? I have to give that some thought. It's just before I start my live stream, so I might have to push the live stream later if I'm gonna go on that, but I'm seriously considering it. It's just so freaking early. God, I don't know if I can get up at be ready by 6 in the morning to drive up there because it's about at least an hour drive. But looks like yeah, I've never gone to a sunflower field and taken pictures. It'd be a good opportunity, but oh, not this Sunday, next Sunday. Okay. Next Sunday. Oh, ooh, that's a little rough. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's hard anyway because it's so early. Oh my God. Ah, I mean, I usually wake up about 8 or 9 o'clock. So I'd have to go to bed. Wow, that's hard. I don't know. My sleep schedule's just not right anyway. But, uh, I did put out a video just before I went live here about this grip for the EM5 Mark III. I got this the other day and I'm really happy with it. So if you haven't seen that video yet, I did just put it up so you can watch it maybe after the stream or forget the stream and just go watch the video. I don't know. But yeah, this grip is awesome. I've always, I always look for grips that have a full Arca Swiss plate on the bottom so that I don't have to like screw and unscrew one all the time. And this one is really good with, excuse me, because some people were complaining about they were ripping the tripod mount out. And when you have the plate cover the entire bottom, that torque is distributed throughout the entire base. So the chances of you ripping the tripod mount out are a lot less. I mean, you still could, but because the grip here on the front also braces against the camera, the chances of it like torquing and ripping that out are even less. So like I said, I just made a video about this grip, but that sums it up. It's a pretty awesome little grip. You can still take the battery out. You don't have to take the grip off to get the battery. And comes with an L plate too. And what's nice about this one, because they don't all do this, they put center markers on here too, so you can line up your sensor and lens centered onto the tripod, either horizontally or vertically if you put the L plate on. Which is, this L plate, it has a little marker here too. And it lines up. So that's that. And it's like a third the cost of the Olympus original grip. And I think it's better in so many ways, with the Arca Swiss, being able to remove the battery, the L plate, screw on L plate thing. I think it's a better deal, and it's all metal, so it makes the camera feel a lot more substantial as well. Hi George, hi John. Oh, I paid $55, I think, for it. I saw another one that was similar for about $30. It looked like about the same quality build, but the difference being is that the L bracket would slide out, and it has 1/4 20 screws all the way around, so it's almost like a mini cage for your camera too. So I can see attaching maybe a mic here and then a light over here, you know, on the L bracket. So that was kind of an interesting thing. The one thing I forgot to mention in the video is that when you have the L bracket on the camera, you can only open the flip screen about that much if there's an L bracket here. So yeah, I can't believe I forgot to mention that, but I'll have to put it in the comments below the video, I guess. But anyhow, that finally a third-party grip for a lot less money, because I didn't really care about the extra button on the grip, right? And the Olympus original grip is a little bigger and does feel better because it's a little bit more rounded. Because this grip here it's nicely rounded on this corner, but this corner is a little sharp. So if you tend to white knuckle your camera, I could see that digging into your hand. I mean, it doesn't bother me because I don't grip my camera like, you know, a death grip or anything. But that's the only difference is the Olympus grip is really well rounded, and this one is kind of squared off. But it gives you a lot more, you know, plenty of room if you were to put a bigger lens on and everything. No, Dave, it doesn't work with the EM5 Mark II. The EM5 Mark II, they used to have similar grips, so that's the thing. I recommend you get this grip if you have an EM5 Mark III, to get this grip right away, because these things, once they disappear, they rarely come back. It's like my grip for the EM10 Mark II that I really love. I can't find it anymore, and they're getting harder and harder to find any grip for the camera. So this grip I recommend you get now before they're gone. Does anybody have IS blinking red on their Olympus camera? My EP1 started to blink, which means it does not work. Oh, that's never happened to me. I don't know why my throat, having trouble speaking clearly today. I sound hoarse, but I'm well, you know, I just made a video. Maybe that's why I'm hoarse. You know, that little 5-minute video took me about 4 hours to make. It just doesn't matter how long or short the video is. You have to just take a day off to do it. But this one I made this morning. Yeah, maybe. I don't normally drink. I allow myself like one every couple of months. Because back in my college days, my younger days, my late 20s too, I drank a lot and destroyed my liver. So ever since then I just cut it out. But once in a while, like I said, every couple of months, holidays maybe, you know, I have one. And then when I have it, I can really feel it. But I used to be a heavy duty well, anyway. that was you know, 25 years ago. Thank God I'm not there now. The party monster, who would have thought? Oh my God. Yeah, there were some good times back in the day. Man about town. Prime, Andrew has a question. Primes or zooms for serious landscape work? Both, really. You know, the zoom lenses now, the quality is so good on modern zooms, you don't have to worry about the image quality quite as much as it used to back in the film days. And the zooms, you know, normally I would say aperture is an issue because they're a little bit slower lens. But for landscapes, that's irrelevant because you're typically shooting at f5.6, f8 on micro four thirds. So it's really just about composition at that point. And, you know, excuse me, I would say I've used both when I do my landscapes. I'll use zooms like long tele zooms to focus in on one aspect of the landscape that I like in the scene, particularly when the rest of the scene is a mess. And then I'll use very wide primes to capture the entire area. I've also done landscapes with the telezooms where I stitched like 9 images together to create sort of a huge panorama. So that's another use for telezooms. Now, if you're talking about small, common zooms like a 14 to 42 kit lens, 12 to 40 Pro, again, it doesn't matter really anymore with prime or zoom. The image quality is very, very good either way. Let's see. Took me all day to make the initial date wine. Oh. The robtrek, how many shots do you estimate I should get off on the EM5 Mark II on the new Ollie battery? My EM5 II just seems to chew through batteries. Yeah, well, I think the SEPA estimate's like 300 shots, and the best way to really squeeze as much battery life out of a camera that you can is use the quick sleep mode in the camera, and have it turn the camera off after 3 seconds, or go to sleep after 3 seconds. And it wakes up very quickly, like in 1 second every time you open it up. But on the EM5 Mark II, where is my camera? Here we go. EM5 Mark II. I don't know, Dave, do you know how to activate the quick sleep mode? So you go into the menu, and it's usually in the utility menu. Let's see. So in the K utility menu, right, there's quick sleep mode. You turn that on, but you also have to, you can't be in live view mode. You have to be in that's not the right mode either. Hold on. You have to be in auto EVF switch. Why is it not doing it? Oh, I'm in movie mode. Duh. There. I have to be in a photo mode. So there's the EVF switch. You have to be in EVF auto switch mode. And then when you click it, you go into super control panel mode. And now you're in quick sleep mode. And you see how quickly the camera turned off on its own? Now it's gone to sleep. And that's the best way to get the camera to last all day. I mean, if you're doing sports action and firing off high-speed shutter, yeah, you're not going to get much battery life. I mean, you'll probably get like 700 or 800 shots because you're doing them very quickly, but this is the best way to do it. And then another tip I should share is if you press and hold this EVF button down, it'll jump right to the menu, to the, oops, if I press and hold this down, it'll jump right to the EVF auto switch menu, and I can turn it on and off here. So turn this on like so, and then that'll take you to the EVF mode or super control panel mode. So when you're in the super control panel mode, the quick sleep mode works. Quick sleep mode doesn't work in regular live view mode. See, I'm sorry, let me go back. The zoom lens seem ripe for landscape. Yeah, they're fine. I mean, like I said, it's just a matter of the focal length that you, in composing the landscape for the focal length that you want. It doesn't matter if it's a prime or zoom, really. Not at this point. A quality zoom, quality prime, you'll be fine. Kit lens zooms, kit lens, like 14 to 42, 40 to 150, they're very good. Not as good as primes in terms of overall sharpness, but if you get the Pro line, 40 to 150 Pro, you can expect image quality on par with a prime. So really, when you're doing landscapes, it's just about composition. So do you want a tight shot of, the landscape of one particular area where clouds might be rolling over some trees? Or do you want the wide shot, you know? Peter's thinking about the EM1X deal for $1,000 off with trade. Okay, I haven't seen that deal. I've seen the one, I think it just expired. You get a free EM1X when you buy 3 Pro lenses. Yeah, I think if you like the form factor of the M1X, I mean, it's a big camera with the grip, right? Go for it. It's a great camera. Hi, Bob. Hi, Dave. Let's see. Is there a way to put power to an EM12 so that do long star shots, say of 4 hours? I'm not sure. I know they sell those dummy batteries, but they're really hard to find with in that form, in that battery type. So we can rule that out. I think they have them. I've seen them on AliExpress, the dummy batteries. And then the dummy batteries will plug into a 5-volt power source, I believe. I haven't bought one and used one myself, so I can't tell you exactly, but that's the idea of a dummy battery. You need some sort of inverter between the dummy battery and the power source so that it converts it to like a 8-volt power. So whatever power source you're using, if it's a 5-volt brick or an 8-volt power supply, because they sell power supplies that have 8-volt out, that would be enough to drive the camera. I don't think you can plug the dummy battery directly into a 5-volt power source. It wouldn't have enough voltage. So I've seen those, and then I don't think there's really any other way to do it that I know of. Luke is asking what to check when purchasing secondhand lens, and would you recommend a Zuiko 17 f2.8 around 130? Okay, secondhand lenses, it's more about who you're buying from than it is what you're buying. Because if the person is being honest with you about the lens, that's more important than somebody lying to you, right? So when I shopped on eBay for lenses, I don't do that very often, but when I do, I make sure they have a 99.5% or better rating, depending on how many ratings they got. If they got 1 rating, then it's irrelevant. So I try to make sure they got thousands of ratings, that they're over 99, the higher the better. 99.5 or better is my preference. And then also, I like to make sure that they say they are a top-rated seller. And I'm talking about eBay, because they work very hard to maintain that status. To be a top-rated seller, so they do not want any negative feedback at all, and they will do everything they can to resolve an issue to maintain that rating, because that rating translates into money for the seller. Because being a top-rated seller entitles you to keeping a higher percentage or getting a lower eBay fees to the seller so they can make more profit. So always look for top-rated sellers with a 99 or better rating, and then I would trust buying from them and whatever they say about the lens. Any other source I'm not familiar with. I've only bought from eBay, but there's other sources like KEH, which I understand is reputable, and I think it's MBT. I forget the name of it exactly. I've never bought from either of those two. Also, I hear Robert's camera, if you're in the United States, is very good. So it's more about who you buy from than it is what you're buying. Now, relative to the lens you're asking about, that's a good price for that lens. It's not a great lens. I'm sure it's fine for just general photography if you're not going to be too critical about sharpness, wide open. But I like the compact size of that lens, so it makes the camera very pocketable, and that's its greatest advantage, is the compact size of the lens. Every other aspect of the lens is mediocre in terms of, from what I've read. I've never used the lens myself, but from what I've read and heard from people is that it's rather a mediocre lens otherwise. But um, the trade-off being at the compact size is really nice too. And I wouldn't hesitate to own or use that lens myself if I needed one. But I decided to go with the 17 f1.8, which I know is a superior lens. And because of the extra stop of light, or stop and a third of light. So if you can, and the larger size doesn't bother you, I recommend the 17 f1.8, because the 17 f2.8, it's not that much off from your kit lens already, because you have a 14 to 42 most likely. So going to 17 millimeter puts you at roughly f3.6. So you're not really losing much light, 2/3 of a stop. And you're not gaining much light with the 17 f2.8, 2/3 of a stop, right? So depending on how you want to look at it. So I would strongly consider not getting it if you already have a kit lens, because you're not really gaining much. I wouldn't spend $130 to gain 2/3 of a stop, or 130 pounds. I would consider saving up for a little better lens, a faster lens, so you get a significant improvement over your kit lens. Because that's always the thing about when buying lenses is, when I do my lens reviews, I always compare it against the kit lens. I said, okay, you're thinking about the 45 prime lens. What does it do better than the kit lens? You're thinking about the 25 millimeter prime. What does it do better than your kit lens? Because your kit lens already covers that focal range. What's the point of a prime? So if you watch my videos on my prime lens comparisons, I always compare them against the kit lens, so you can see if it's worth spending, whether it's 130 pounds or 300 pounds or 500 pounds, you know what I mean? Do you really want to spend that much more just for that little bit? If you need it, yeah, definitely, right? If you don't need it, the kit lens is fine. And, I've been accused of like promoting the kit lens too much, right? Like people say, Rob is great, but all he cares about it, he acts like all you need is a kit lens to take a picture. And that's true for the most part. Really, to take a picture, all you need is a kit lens. But uh, you know, I own a lot of prime lenses, so it sounds hypocritical, but if you need a prime lens, if you need something, you need it. It's okay to buy it. I need 12 to 40 Pro. I need the 25 millimeter prime and the 45 prime and a 17 prime. Those are things I need um, for various reasons. Specifically, I needed a 12 millimeter f2 prime. But for general photography, when I go on my photo walks, you always see me out with my kit lens usually, uh, because it's good enough just take pictures. Okay, let me see what else we got here. The beginning of your last video is perfect. I love Star Trek. It's a great feeling. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm a big Trek fan too. So Randy says you have a 110-volt plug in your little mini. Oh, okay, good. Those are handy. I always try to find the DC equivalent of, if I'm ever going to power something in my car, because you lose a little bit of efficiency, right? Going from DC to AC back to DC. And then heat gets generated, and so if I can find a straight DC solution, I usually try. Marcia says, just bought the 14 to 150 Mark II version 2. Would love to buy the 2.8, but don't know if I want to drag around the extra weight. Yeah. If you get into bird photography, and you really enjoy it and do that all the time, you know, of having a very, very sharp lens at the long telephoto length is a big deal. It makes a big difference. For casual shooting, though, you know, for 90% of everything else, you probably don't really need to get a 2.8. David says you bought a B&H dummy battery for the M1 Mark III. Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know they had those already. It's something I should do, right? Because my battery's always dying during my streams, but it lasts about 3 hours. I'm torn between the 40 to 150 Pro and the 12 to 100 Pro. Keep swapping. I also buy almost all of my stuff. Do the homework on the seller. Yes. Always do homework on the seller. I'm not sure if that was a question though, Randy. I think you probably can you probably did all the pros and cons already. You know, my solution is just buy both. But that you know, 'cause those are very different lenses, right? I mean, the 12 is really wide and great, and a great sharp lens. It's really, those are really two different lenses. I don't know. I don't know if that should be a hard decision, really. Is there a way to assign face eye detect on custom button? No, not that I know of. That specific feature? No, you cannot. You can always program a bunch of stuff along with the face detect into a custom setting. So, you know, like, let's say you do a factory reset on the camera, then you change the focus to face eye detect and save that. That's effectively saving that one thing to the custom setting because nothing else has changed, right? But saving it to a specific button so you can toggle it on and off, no, you cannot do that. Reading here, secondhand cameras and lenses from a good dealer can be a great buy. I bought an EM1 Mark I when the EM Mark II came out. Great 35 to 100 Panasonic, yes. Great combination there. Yeah, see Randy, he's got quite the setup. He said when he doesn't want to change lenses due to dust in the desert. So 12 to 100 on the M1 Mark II and a 40 to 150 on the M1X. I don't know if I'll ever get an EM1X unless there's some... I just don't see myself using it. I mean, it's a great camera, but... Thank you for your dedication. You've helped me and many others so much. Oh, you're welcome, Eric. I'm glad I could help. And Randy says, yeah, I know. I got bad gas too. Okay, Luke, I'm glad I could help. I now end up taking 2 or even 3 cameras with different lenses loaded on a couple of more lenses. I know I'm guilty of that for different reasons. When I go out on a job, I typically just bring one camera. Which is, you know, I should have a backup with me, right? But I don't know. I've been lucky so far. Yes, another validation here for Robert's camera, Use Photo Pro. Very good. Yeah, I've bought a few things from Use Photo Pro, which is Robert's camera. The 200mm f4 Nikon lens I showed you guys last week. Oh, it's in my bag. I was going to try and take it out yesterday and shoot with it, but that's one I bought from them. 70 to 300 f4.5. That's a good lens. Wow. That is good. That's fast. f4.5? Man, that must be a 4/3 lens because I don't think micro 4/3 has got that yet. Peter says he prefers the Sigma 16 f1.4 over the Ollie 17 f1.8 on the EM1 Mark II. It's so sharp corner to corner. Yeah, I've always heard good things about the Sigma lenses. I just thought the 16 was a little bulky, so I didn't get it. I think I'd be fine on EM1 Mark II, but when I was looking at it, uh, it was back when I first got my EM10 Mark II, and I said, this lens is too big. I have all the pros except the primes. Man, Randy has all the pro lenses. I guess that's what, the 40 to 150 Pro, the 300 Pro. Well, you said no primes, so what's that? 12 to 40, the 40 to 150, the 7 to 14. Those are the three I can think of. There might be one more. Nikon Mike is asking, can auto ISO be tweaked to take advantage of IBIS, say 2EV over the default? It depends on the camera. If you have a, I mean, all the ISOs can be tweaked like to operate within a certain range. So depending on the camera, it'll be in a different place in the menu. And this is a very coarse tweak. But I believe it's in the E menu for exposure. Yeah, so in the E menu, right here. Let me move up so you can see it. The one just below the bar is the ISO auto set. So you click on that. Upper and upper lower limit. Click on, whoops. And then you can set the upper and lower limits, right? On, but there's also a setting to adjust. There's one more setting. It's not directly related to but there's a lowest shutter speed setting as well, that you can set the minimum shutter speed for ISO, where it won't try to adjust ISO until it hits that shutter speed limit. So you can kind of tweak those two things if you have both on your camera. I have a video on auto ISO and how to tweak auto ISO, so you can search my channel for that, and it goes into a lot more detail about those two settings. But tweaking it specifically for exposure, like 2 stops, there's not a way to do it directly like that. You have to kind of do it indirectly with those settings, and you should be able to get effectively the same result. What about this intended Olympus 100? Oh, the Olympus 100mm macro. Yeah, that'll be, if you're a macro shooter, that's an awesome lens. You know, being able to get in that tight, so you'll probably have greater than 1-to-1 magnification, and you'll have good working distance. Two things that are really a huge help with macro photography. I'm just curious how big and heavy it's going to be, because my Nikon 100mm, or it's a 105 f2.8, I think, I forget, around here somewhere. That's a heavy lens, but it's an old D lens, right? So it is kind of big and heavy. There are times when buying a camera and lens is nearly the same price as getting the zoom lens. The 12 to 60 Lumix is $495, but the G85 with the lens is $698. And yeah, I know. You got to do the math, right? When you buy lenses, that's why I bought the GX85 actually, because I didn't care about the camera too much, but I wanted the 12 to 32 kit lens. So I got the camera and the lens together. I think I paid $220 or $250 for both together. And if I had to buy either one individually, it would cost that much. So it was like buy one, get one free in my case. If you had to pick only one camera, Alberto's asking, if you had to pick only one camera and one lens, what would you choose? Pen F with a 17mm f1.8. No question. The Pen F is still my favorite camera. If you're talking about for my personal stuff, for my work, it would be probably the EM1 Mark III with the 8mm fisheye. That would be for my pro work. But personally, yeah, that would be my kit. The 7300 is a 4/3 lens. Just forgot the f-stop. Yeah, I'd be surprised if it was an f4.5, but a 7300 f4.5 would be pretty amazing. And Lauren says the Lumix 12-60 is a good lens, but perhaps not a great lens. I like the range though. Yeah, that's a healthy range. And you know, it's a fine lens by all accounts that I've seen. And Nature's hoping the 100mm Olympus will replace his Samyang 100mm and his Nikon 200mm macro. Wow. I didn't know they made a 200 macro. But Nikon calls them micro lenses, right? Ah, Roman, you bought a GH2 and then you forgot your other lenses have no stabilization. Yeah. I mean, a camera that old, even if it had stabilization, I'd probably be on a tripod anyway. And Evgeny says the Sigma f56 1.4 is also excellent. A great portrait lens for the system. Yes. That thing has monster bokeh. I've seen some images from one of our viewers here, and it was pretty amazing. Very sharp, tons of bokeh, smooth, and yeah, sharp. But and it's relatively inexpensive. Like I've seen it for 450 bucks. So I think it's a viable alternative to the 75 f1.8. Definitely something to consider. Oh, so Randy, you have a 300 and an 800 8mm Pro. So you do have a couple of primes. It's hard to think of a 300mm as a prime though, right? But yeah, it is. Extension works fine on EM10.2. I have a video about it. Yes. Who was the photographer that influenced you the most early on? Oh, early on meaning like 2012. God, has it been 8 years now since I've been shooting? I don't have any really photographers. I didn't follow anybody. I got into photography to take pictures of my dog when I went hiking and camping. I wasn't really into the aesthetics of it or the artsy fartsy side, right? Like I am now. I really enjoy photography for just doing the composition and capturing images and moods and emotion, all of that stuff, right? Capturing stories. So even now, I still don't have, I can't name any photographers that have inspired me or influenced me. And if you see my Instagram, it'll be obvious I'm not influenced or inspired by anybody because my pictures kind of suck, generally speaking. I get, I get composition and exposure okay, but in terms of like, if you go to my Instagram page and look for a theme or something that says, yeah, this is definitely robtrek, you're not going to find that. You'll be like, these are pictures like taken by 20 different people, you know? Let's see. Roman says, I took my Pen F to the camera shop for the rubber thumb piece, and Olympus said they will glue it back for free. You didn't use warranty for yours? No. I just used Sugru on mine. I guess this comes off. It's not uncommon. The little rubber grip piece here. I just use Sugru, as you can see. So it's a little bit thicker than the original. Wish I could get more light on this. A little thicker than the original thumb grip, so I got a better grip on this. It's amazing how you can, Dave says, amazing how you continue to forge ahead with all the gray cells storing camera data. No idea what you're talking about. All the gray cells storing camera. Sorry, Dave, you're going to have to elaborate on it. I don't know what you're talking about. On the EM10 Mark II, John McCormick is asking, on the EM10 Mark II, how do I get color creator using multifunction F2? I followed the manual instructions, but no luck. Oh, yeah. It's another one of those stupid push and hold buttons. So here's my EM5 Mark II. It's the same on all the cameras, really, but let me see what it's set to now. All right, so here's my FN2 button, right? And if I click it, you get the highlight shadow thing, right? So what you do is you actually press and hold it down. Let me do it backwards. You press, wish you didn't have to see my face. Where's my lens cap? I don't know. Anyway, so you press and hold it down like this, right? And then you rotate the front dial. And then so I'm pressing and holding the button down and you rotate the front dial. And that'll get you to color creator. And then you tap it again. And now you're in color creator mode. Tap it to get out. Press and hold. Rotate it. You can go to magnify. Now the button is a magnify button. Press and hold it. Well, get the magnify off. So press and hold it again. And rotate it. And then you can set, I thought I had a video on this, or I might be making one. But yeah, it's a press and hold and rotate the front dial. Oh, hey, that auto ISO limit is great, Rob. I would definitely need this when using manual shutter. Yes, it works. It works great. Just got the Ollie Air. Really fun cell phone setup. Hooked it up to the 300 Pro and got a neat shot. God, the Ollie Air, man, that thing had so many bugs in the beginning that you know, but it's an interesting little camera, right? It's like the size of a lens. It's probably about this size, but it clips onto your cell phone and connects through Bluetooth or something. So you can control it and it takes pictures. So it's just it's an interesting device. Stimulation Evolution says, hi Rob, I just got the Olympus OMD EM10 Mark II as a gift yesterday. I watched some of your tutorials, which really helped. I'm so new, but this is how you teach. It's really helped. Oh, you're welcome. You know, I really focus on beginners that have no idea what to do with a camera. I mean, a lot of my viewers, they've been doing photography almost as long as I've been alive, but there's a lot of people that, you know, they want to get into photography, they buy a camera, and then it's like all these buttons and dials and menus, and it's like, what the heck? So I tried to break it down as if you've never picked up a camera before. Oh, let's see. Roman saying congrats. Yeah, it's a great camera though. The M10 Mark II. And Nature says the 12 to 35 f2.8 was his first ever lens with the Panasonic GH4. An excellent lens that he uses now with his G9. You know, Nature, if you have a G9, you should watch Joe Morano's channel. He uses a G9. And of course, James Popsy's, you know, he uses a G9. I mean, don't stop watching mine, but definitely check theirs out. Roman says the 17 f1.8 is now secondhand 240 euros. I wish I could buy it now. Yeah, it's a great lens. I mean, if you know, at some point you get beyond just starting out to where you really enjoy photography, right? Because a lot of times you're starting out and you want to get all this stuff. I tell you, don't buy it. Don't buy it. You know, just wait till you get a feel for what you like about photography, and then the lens will choose you, right? So that, well, that's stupid, but You get what I'm saying, but a lot of after a while though, you get to a point to where you really want a lens because you know you'll use it and enjoy it. And at that point I say go ahead and get it, you know. But I always tell beginning photographers, don't buy lenses until you know you need it for something very specific, you know, for very specific purpose. But then you kind of get even beyond that point to a point to where you just enjoy photography and you know you would enjoy the lens if you bought it. And if you have the means, yeah, just get it, you know. Is there any way to program the AEL AFL switch to change the shutter speed mode on the EM1 Mark II? Change the shutter speed. Oh, if you're talking about like continuous high, continuous low, no. This is from David Crooks. You'd have to. No, not that I know of. Where's my EM1 Mark III? Let me just look at the camera. It's not something I do normally, but let me go in the button menu and just make sure something doesn't pop up. So button function AEL. I can change this to. All right, so the AEL button, you can change it to recall a custom setting that you've saved. So if you save different shutter modes into different custom settings, you can save one of those custom settings into say C4 and then assign C4 to the AEL AFL button. And then it'll toggle on and off. Say you go from high speed to single shot, you can toggle between the two if you program it that way. I don't, you know, so if you don't use C4 much on the camera, like you don't use a lot of custom settings, that could be an option, you know. But there's no way to directly assign it to shutter mode. Hopefully that makes sense. Peter says, I have the 75 to 300 f4.8 to 6.3. It's okay. I don't like it past 250. Are we talking about the same lens? Let me see. This is my 75 to 300. Oh, this is an f4.8. Dang, for some reason I thought this was like an f6 to f8 or something, but it's an f4.8. But that's wide open, right? I mean, wide angle, 75 millimeters. So, yeah, it's okay, this lens. Yeah, I'd say after 200 to 250, yeah, you start to lose a little sharpness. It gets a little bit soft. Oh, there's my bloody lens cap. I need to find my rear lens cap now. I got no rear lens cap. I gotta clean my room. Okay. Let's see. The Olympus Pro is a great lens, which I use on my X 1.4 teleconverter. Yes. It is hard to define the subject when you're really using a telephotos lens. Randy was into film in the 70s, Minolta. Yeah, me too. I love Minolta. Then got out of it until 2005 when I bought the E500. Yeah, I got out of it until about 2012. That's when I kind of got back into it. But I shot Minolta and Olympus back in the late 80s. Mid 80s, early 80s, I should say. Oh, I intended to say Olympus 300 Pro, yes. Old player says Pen versus the EM5 Mark II. That okay. Well, the things in common are they have the same IBIS system. You know, if it's the exact same one, technically, I don't know, but effectively, they do both very good. Better than the EM10 Mark II, so, but not quite as good as the M1 Mark II, but it's better than EM10, so that's why I think they have the same IBIS system. Then the obvious things, the fully articulating screen on the Pen F, the 20 megapixels on the Pen F. But then the EM5 Mark II has really some advantages, right? It has the weather sealing. It has, I think, better ergonomics to an extent. I mean, the Pen F has a lot of buttons and dials, but the ergonomics on the EM5 Mark II, I think, are still better. And let's see. Other than that, they're almost identical in terms of feature set. But the Pen F has a couple of extra features, like it has the lens profile feature where if you adapt manual lenses, like vintage lenses and things, you can program the profile of that lens into the camera, which you can't do on the EM5 Mark II. That's kind of the biggest thing menu-wise. The other thing is the Pen F has this creative dial that has custom color profiles that you can't do on the EM5 Mark II. Essentially, you can control the saturation of each individual color, and which is different than the color creator. It has a much more granularity there, where you can control saturation of individual colors in the same image. And then also I understand the grain pattern, if you'd like to use grain in black and white images, is very distinctive on the on the Pen F. So it's a very JPEG centric camera. But if you don't care about those things, because you can duplicate most of that in post-processing anyway, right? I'd say the EM5 is a better camera in that respect. But the Pen F is more of a second camera or only camera. I would not buy the Pen F as an upgrade to anything. Like the Pen F, I wouldn't even consider the Pen F an upgrade to the EM10 Mark II. Even with all of those things in it, because of the price. I mean, these things are still pulling in $800 used and still like $1,000 new, right? It's not really an upgrade at that price. It's more of a nice to have. Because the EM5 Mark III is a substantial upgrade to the other Mark IIs. But the Pen F is not. The Pen F is not an upgrade camera. It's really a separate camera. Roman's asking, is the Lumix 12 to 32 kit much better than the Olympus kit 14 to 42? I would say yes. It is noticeably better, and I don't say that often, because you know me, right? I'm like, yeah, this lens is a little sharper, but you can't really tell. You can definitely tell without looking too hard that the 12 to 32 Panasonic kit lens is sharper, more contrastier, better colors than the 14 to 42 kit lens from Olympus. No question. I bought it originally because I wanted a wider angle at 12. I didn't care about the other things, but after I used it, and then I even tested it, I shot my kit lens, 14 to 42 kit lens and a 12 to 32 kit lens using high-res shot mode on my one of the cameras. I forget which one. And you could definitely tell, even at high-res shot mode, there was a difference. So the 12 to 32 is definitely able to resolve more detail in high-res shot mode even. Because normally when you go to high-res shot mode, sometimes you can't tell any difference. You know, that sharpness is not as easy to define, because high-res shot mode exaggerates all of the defects in the lens. But I could definitely tell. So because someone just asked me recently, I think it was, I forget her name, but they asked me recently, I think it was Mary, asked me recently, you know, her 14 to 42 easy kit lens, the Power Zoom Pancake broke, which same thing happened to me. She asked me, you know, what would be a good lens to replace it with, and I said 12 to 32 all day long. Dave says, you have so much data in your head about so many cameras is amazing. I would have burnt out. Oh, all remaining memory. Okay, now I understand. That was in reference to the gray matter or something. Thank God for now, right? I'm starting to feel like I'm suffering a little dementia sometimes, you know, because I can't remember, like, I have to, you know, like somebody asked me what my name is. I'm like, Rob, right? Like, it's sometimes things just take a second sometimes, and it's, you know, when I was younger, man, I was sharp as a tack or tack sharp, whatever. Uh, Now it's like people talk to me and it's bad when you can recognize people are smarter than you, then you're very smart yourself, right? Because you have that sort of consciousness. But now I'm like, I feel like it's almost to the point where I feel like everybody's smarter than me now, you know? uh with the air and the moon shot sent to my sister, she was amazed. I know, right? You're talking about your little Olympus Air. Those, I wonder if I bet if I looked on eBay I could find one. Since it seems to be working well for you now, but I'm scared that I won't be able to find an app for it, or I don't know. Oh, Jean-Marc, good to see you too. I'm glad you could make it. Hey Des, good to see you. Dave? See, that's between each other. The more I find out, the less I know. Yeah. Let's see, the 12 to 35 f2.8 is super lens. Yes. Very, very good. I think Peter and not Peter, I'm sorry, what's his name? I know Maddie definitely has a review on that lens. But I think uh Chris and Jordan from DP Review compared the 12 to 35 f2.8 against the never mind. Never mind. Just go to Maddie Salanto's channel to look at it. You need more data. I don't think Chris and Jordan did one on that lens. Excellent advice for hey Arthur, how are you? Excellent advice about lens buying for beginners. First develop your mastery of photography on what subject, then you may already have a lens. Yep. Go buy what you need, yes. Can't believe how cheap the secondhand outside New Zealand is. Wow. Roma says, do you never use a lens cap? No, I never use a lens cap. I use lens hoods. The days of the Minolta SRT 101. Yep, I have one. Let's see. I even have the original bag for the Minolta. I think the camera's in here. I got some light bulbs in here. All right. I know this Olympus channel, but there's the Minolta SRT 101. This was my dad's camera. It's now mine. Still in excellent condition. I'll have to find a battery for the meter though. Not that I really need it. I can just use my phone for metering, but this is a all mechanical, fully mechanical camera. It's an awesome little camera. Oh, yeah. Look at that. No wonder the battery's dead. I had the meter on. There's a little meter button down here. But yeah. Ah, makes me miss my dad. we're having his funeral here this month in a couple of weeks. That's I'm gonna be a mess. I'm already a mess. I was really close to my dad. I meant the 110 Mendolta. I don't know about the 110. Let's see. Rob, could you make a video about desiccant bags? I think you mean decent bags and camera bags. How many is enough in different sizes of bags? Worried about my lenses here in New Zealand as it's winter. I'm not a good person to make a video about bags. What I do is I've collected a lot of bags over time. Mostly because I underestimated the size and weight of full frame systems, so I kept buying bigger bags. And then when I switched to Micro Four Thirds, I started buying smaller bags, right? And honestly, the only bag really that I use is my I got a Tenba. I got a video on bags, but my Tenba bag I don't use as much anymore. I just use my Amazon $25 bag, which is, I think it's behind me. And then this bag, this I bought for like $15. I don't recommend it though. It's a Caden bag, $15 bag. Because the problem I have with this bag is this strap, it doesn't stay snug. It just loosens too easily. And then the other problem is when I pick it up, you can see there's a gap here. This big freaking gap here. I mean, nothing should fall out. Nothing's fallen out, but this bag doesn't have the little flaps normally that if I paid a little more I could have got. But I'm just using this now until another bag catches my eye. But this bag will hold, you know, 2 cameras pretty easily. This is kind of my vlogging bag. You know, I got my microphones and my 360 camera, which I'm going to start doing videos in 360 here soon. And I got the Nikon 200 f4 that I talked about. I bought this from Used Photo Pro, Robert's camera. 200mm f4. If I can ever find my frickin' adapter, my lens reducer, I'll have effectively like a 150 f2.8, which that'll be kind of interesting, right? But man, this thing already weighs like probably 500 grams. Ugh. Let's see. Pen F plus a 17 equal Fujifilm X100V. Yes. Very similar. Very similar setup. Marcia says, I have 100mm filters from Lee from Nikon days. Can I get step-down rings for much smaller filter threads of the Ollie? I'm sure you can. Not something I've ever done because I never got into the big filters. I always like the ones that just screw on. And then I'll buy one that fits the biggest lens I have and then buy step rings from there. Arthur says, robtrek, correct me if I'm wrong, but the EM10 Mark II can also set for manual old lenses internally. I've done it. Yes, you can set them individually, right? Like if you put a 50mm lens on, you can set the IBIS for 50mm. But the Pen F has something additional, which I can remember where it is. Let me see. Let me look in the utility. Yeah. In the utility menu, you have this additional line item here, lens info settings, right? You don't have this on the EM10 Mark II. So you go in here and you can see I've programmed all my manual lenses. So there's my 35mm CCTV lens, one of my favorites. My 50mm f1.8, that's my Nikon, a 24mm OM Uh, that's an awesome lens on this camera. The Olympus Zuiko 24mm f2.8, and then a fisheye, etc. So, and you can do up to what, 10 lenses. And once you program them in, that gets into the EXIF data of the files, so that when you bring it into Lightroom or whatever, you'll know what lens you took a picture with. And when you set the focal length in the lens profile, the IBIS is automatically set to the focal length that you saved in the lens profile. Aperture doesn't matter because, you know, manual lenses are aperture, have aperture rings on them, but that's the difference. And the EM1s have that feature too, but not the EM5 or the EM10. And I'm out of focus now. There we go. Just had to wake it up. Let's see. At robtrek, I have to agree about the Panasonic 12-32. Very good lens. Thank you. Dave, Lauren says, is the Oddly 17mm actually better than the Lumix 12-32? It's, they're different lenses. I wouldn't say it's better. They're just different. I mean, the 17 is very fast, right? f1.8 versus you're going to be like at f3.8 or f4 on the 12-32. So in terms of sharpness, I'd say the 12-32, that'd be a tough call. I haven't compared the two. But the 17mm, definitely when I stop down to f4, it's tack sharp. At wide open at f8, it's very similar to the Olympus 14-42. So I'd say wide open at f1.8, it's not as sharp as the 12-32 kit lens from Panasonic. I haven't compared them side by side. I'm just kind of extrapolating from the lenses that I have. So, because I have compared the 17 f1.8 versus the 14-42 kit lens from Olympus, and wide open, the kit lens was on par with the 17mm f1.8. And extrapolating from that, if 12-32 is sharper than the 14-42, then it is sharper than the 17 f1.8 wide open. But once you stop it down, the 17 is definitely sharper. Silica bags in your camera bags. Yes, I put those silica bags in my camera bags too. How far behind am I here? I lost my place. Lauren says, you've seen reviews of the 17 that indicate great build, but actual sharpness is just good. Yeah, wide open, it's fair. It's definitely at f4 though, it's very good. Everyone is smarter than me too, Rob. Oh God, I'm so far behind. I'm like 15 minutes behind on the chat here. Rob, if your memory goes, just tell the IRS you forgot to. Oh, I finished my taxes yesterday. It's always a wake-up call when I do my taxes because I see how much money I spent on. I spent $1,500 on just knickknacks, you know, like these little brackets and crap. $1,500 on freaking photo accessories. And how many do I actually use, right? Like probably $100 worth of stuff I actually use. The other $1,400 is like just, I mean, it just adds up fast. You know, battery chargers and batteries and what else? What the heck did I buy? Just a bunch of crap. Ugh. And that, like I said, that was just everything that I spent less than $200 on. Because over $200, you know, you in the US you depreciate it, right? Under $200 is just a straight write-off. And I had boatload of things. Huge list of things under 200. Cables. I bought a lot of cables. HDMI cables, USB cables. Just a bunch of crap. So I did buy stuff I use when I think about it, but still. Do you check if you have a hypofunction of thyroid? Reduces significantly memory and concentration. Oh, you know, I haven't been to a doctor in probably 20 years. I had a virtual visit about a month ago because I woke up one morning with a little tick on my lip. Little baby tick. And I took it out. So it wasn't in my body for more than 6 or 8 hours. And I called the doctor and he gave me some kind of antibiotic, you know, so I don't get Lyme disease. But other than that, I haven't seen a doctor in forever. I'm a picture of health, really. Let me mark where I am here. 4:08 p.m. It's 4:20. Man, I'm 12 minutes behind. I'm a little faster. Yeah, I'm a hoarder. It's terrible. You just would not believe. I mean, you know how many Minoltas I have? I have this one. Well, let's not get into it. I got a lot of Minoltas too. I have about 4 or 5 Minolta cameras, film. Harry, good to see you too. You're welcome. What is the size of Minolta? Well, I can put it next to my EM5. I mean, the EM5 has a grip on it now, so it's actually probably right in line. I mean, it's a big camera. It's hard to but what I have also is a 50mm f1.4 Minolta Roker. Man, that's an awesome lens. Hello, Captain Kirk, members of the M43 spaceship. Yes, the SRT-101 was my first SLR. Awesome. Oh, wow. Oh, thank you, Dave. Yeah. I know how Rob is. I have a Randy says I have a closet full of old film and digital cameras. I use about 7 cams, which include 3 films. Yep. Desiccant moisture absorbing material. Ah, okay. No, I bought a bag of those little bags. I mean, I bought a bag of little bags that had those little balls in them. And then I just spread them out, you know, over the various bags that I have when I store my lenses away. And stimulation, I just want to double check in the beginner videos. Rob said to always reset and format your camera every time. No, is that right? No. I only reset for the videos so that we all see the same thing when we're going through. So it's more of a teaching exercise to reset the camera so that we can all be on the same page. Because sometimes once you get to know the camera, there's a lot of settings buried in the menus that can affect the settings that I might be trying to teach. So I have to reset the camera so that when you get to the same line item, we see the same thing. So no, don't do that. You don't have to format your memory card every time either. So yeah. Yes, Arthur, I did make a few videos on bags. I should update them. Well, I really don't have any new bags to update with. When I get a new bag, I'll update the video and talk about why I bought it, because I have my eye on some bags now. I use a National Geographic med-size little bag. Oh yeah, I've seen those. Those are cool. Great little blue color bag for a few bucks. Oh, I have to look for that. Did you get that recently? I mean, sometimes you just want things for fun, right? That would be a fun little bag to have every now and then. I got this inexpensive $30 on Amazon. Like this so much, just bought another. I also have a closet full of bags. Yes. 360 videos. Yeah, that's gonna be something. I need to upgrade my computer though. I am struggling editing 4K video. Never mind. I think this is a 5.7K video that gets transcoded twice. I have to convert it to 4K. Then once it's in 4K, I have to convert that to 1080. And yeah, I'm getting like I'm like 3 or 4 frames per second. So if it's a 60 frame video, it took me, I encoded one with no grading at all. It took me 9 minutes to generate 3 minutes of video. And that's not gonna cut it. Because there's always 7-8 hours of editing before you get to that part. And then if I have to, I don't know. I just don't have the money. I just bought a new AC window unit for like $400. It's awesome. Oh, man. That thing is awesome. My house is so cool now. And nature says, hold on. Harry, how do you find, there's also, I have lots of, nature says I have lots of bags. The best for taking out with cameras are Case Logic with an extendable base that you can take out telephotos. Oh yeah, I remember those. I almost got one of those bags. But then when I switched to Micro Four Thirds, I didn't think I'd be getting big lenses anymore. I suppose if I got a 300 f4 Pro, I might, have to look at bags seriously again. Hey Rob, try holding the Minolta MD 100 to 500 zoom lens. Wow. And Roman's asking, do you use the film simulation in Fuji? How do you like it? It's okay. I mean, I don't shoot with the Fuji enough to have really an opinion on it. Every time I go out, I just don't see a need to take this when I have Olympus. Someone asked me to do a comparison between the two cameras, which I might have to do a video on the comparison. I'm not bashing Fuji in any shape or way or shape or form, right? It's an excellent camera. But I have to shoot with it more. Let me just tell you that the film simulations did not sway me from using Olympus at all. That's kind of why I bought it, because you read you get all the hype online from various sources, whether it's a forum or a video, on YouTube, about, wow, those Fujifilm simulations, are amazing, and just, you just can't get that in any other camera, and yada, yada, yada. And after I took, I took it on 3 or 4 photo walks. I have videos of those on my channel. I didn't like it. I mean, they weren't bad, they were fine, but there's other issues with the camera that I have that I like the Olympus better. Been looking for an OM1 on eBay as a collection item, but they are pretty, really? I used to buy OM1s. I mean, I've bought a couple of them for parts. I guess they would be cheap, right? But even the working ones, I think, are $100 or less, I thought. Unless they've gone up since then. Not, and I think that's a reasonable price, $100. Think Tank definitely makes camera bags, Dave. I have one of those Nikkor 200 f4s for my old Nikon. It's spotless with very little use. Could it be used with MFT? Yeah, definitely. I've taken images with that 200 f4. They're magical. I mean, it was magical on my Nikon, and is really something on my Pen F. I've shot it on my Pen F. It's hard to explain, you know, when you see the images, whether it's because it's a 200mm focal length at f4, you know, that compression with that aperture just seems to really just give you images you just don't normally see out of your camera. Let's see. John Mark says, for me, Peak Design is the best. Bought mine in France, very comfortable and practical. Yes. I always thought they were too big though. They might have smaller ones now. I think the smallest one I've seen is a 13-inch Peak Design. Still a little bit bigger than I want to carry around. And Plato says, I love my Temba. Yeah, Temba makes the best bags in my opinion. That come in sizes that I like, I should say. Oh, excuse me. You know, my Tenba bag was my favorite bag for my Nikons, but since I don't shoot Nikon anymore, just sits over there. I thought I used to use a lot when I took it out on my jobs because I could fit my flash gear and everything in there, but I found I can fit all my stuff now in my little Amazon bag, which is even more compact. Good Lord, Rob, update the computer. Well, my computer's only, Dave, my computer's only 2 years old. It's an Intel Pentium 6-core 8th gen 8750. I got 32 gigs of RAM, you know, 4 terabytes of NVMe SSD. You know, it's a pretty high-end spec computer 2 years ago. But and it's got a GTX 1060. But yeah, I'm looking at the new 8 core with the GTX 2070 Super 8 gig, or maybe a Quadra 5000 video card. I mean, but that stuff gets expensive fast. I mean, you know, I was looking at an Asus Zen Duo. It's about $3,000, and that could really streamline my desk space here quite a bit. Because I could get rid of these 2 monitors I'm using now, or get rid of this one big butt monitor here, and just use the Duo screen. You know, it tilts up. It's like a $3,000 laptop, man. I'm gonna have to apply for a 0% credit card or something and get it. uh, but I'm not crazy about the 10th gen Intel processors right now, because they you know, every benchmark, you know, the new Ryzen 4900 4800Hs outperform it with a lot less power load, so it's going to run cooler, yada yada. But the challenge is I can't get a powerful video card combined with the AMD Ryzen chip. I'd almost be happy with a 2060, you know, RTX 2060, but right now the only ones I can find have the RTX 2060 Max Q. I don't know. I don't know if any of this makes, if anybody's into computers and stuff, but you know, as a content video creator, you know, you think about all these things, right? You can't just blindly buy a laptop, you know, without really understanding how all these things work together combined with the software that you're using. So I use DaVinci Resolve, which relies heavily on the video card. So I could almost get away with a 6-core video card if I had a 6-core CPU, if I have a very powerful video card. But I want both. I want to, because I have to transcode using CPU first before I can get it into DaVinci Resolve if I'm talking about my 360 video. So I need a very powerful CPU. And people argue, you know, just get a desktop. So I looked at some 12-core, 16-core desktops, and then a RTX 2080 graphic card, and then we're up to like $3,000 again, and Anyway, let's not talk about computers, right? It's a photography channel, I think, right? Unless you guys like computers, I'll talk about computers. I could bore you to tears about computers too. Trust me. If Olympus had the same marketing people as Fuji, they would not have sell their camera division. Maybe. It's hard to say. I don't know what Fuji does differently, marketing wise. I never see their ads either. uh And Lauren says, so Rob, if you switched to or added another camera brand, would it be Nikon or Canon? Sony in some ways is okay, but I always think of Apple. Fairy dust for some reason, just saying. I don't know. We're talking about switching. I don't know about switching to something. There just isn't any cameras that offer everything Olympus does, in my opinion, feature-wise. I mean, I'd probably go back to Nikon if I had to, you know, if for some reason for the next few years I couldn't get any more Micro Four Thirds gear and all my stuff broke. I mean, there's a lot of conditions there. I'd probably go back to Nikon because I still got all my crap from Nikon. If I didn't have my Nikon stuff, I might buy a Pentax. I like their little cameras. They're pretty cool. I mean, there's so many good cameras. It'd be hard to say. I'd probably stay away from Sony. I never liked Sony. I liked my NEX for a very short time until I really got into photography. Then I didn't like it at all. And Roman got an OM1 for free from his mom of my friend. But the lens looks, it had a bit hard. Yeah. Yeah, try the 50 f1.8 and stop it down to f4. An excellent lens, the 50mm f1.8 from Olympus. If you have a few bucks, they're still expensive. Wide angle vintage lenses are expensive, but the 24 f2.8 is really good. Very, very sharp lens, even wide open. No problem doing 4K video on a relatively old Mac 27-inch. I use the laptop windows for post-production editing and Ali Workspace Affinity. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. You know, like the video I rendered today is a 4K video. I was getting about 15 frames per second with it, and that had a little bit of grading in it. I mean, anyway. But when I was doing my other video, I was getting like 3-4 frames per second, and that was just unbearable. Low Pro has some, yeah, Low Pro is excellent bags. Agree. I have a Low Pro, my very first camera bag right here. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, stop it. There. What happened to my video? Oh, hold on. All right, sorry. This was my very first camera bag. Look, I got gum on the bottom, but it's a Low Pro. Little Low Pro 100 Event Messenger. I still use it time to time. It's just a little bit too narrow to carry 2 cameras, but it's good if you're only going to carry 1. Stimulations asks, what's good editing software for photos for beginners? Photos and videos for beginners. You really need 2. Olympus Workspace for Olympus cameras. If you don't, or what's a good one is that if you have Windows, they may have it for Apple. I really like Photoscape X. Excellent software for editing. To to do both though, you really can't do both. You need to buy, not buy, but DaVinci Resolve I use for editing videos. It's free. The free version is very good. Recipe 2 years. Wipe your computer and clean and reinstall Windows and buy a new lens. Yeah. Yeah, J-Clip says 10th gen is very disappointing. Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I'd like to stay Intel if I can, because you always got to worry about those freaking, you know, software optimization for the chip or the graphics card. Like, I'll never buy a Radeon graphics card because you wait forever for optimizations. Rob, try Sager laptops. Never heard of them. You should turf to Macs. I will never buy an Apple product. They're fabulous products, but it's long. It's not a, yeah, it's kind of a long story. I make it long. Long story short, yeah, I'm not buying Apple. The customer service guy, the sales rep, pissed me off about 35 years ago when they used to have Apple stores. And ever since then, I said, I'm never buying an Apple product because that guy pissed me off. It's silly, right, to hold a grudge this long, but I have no regrets. Sony is king of marketing. Okay. With the talk of the world's fastest focusing and other magic. Yeah. It's all crap. Not Sony, but you know, a lot of the marketing is, you know, like people hyped up the Fuji X-T30 as like an X-T3 in a smaller body, and I'm like, it's not. It's crap compared to the X-T3. Well, let me rephrase that. I've never shot with an X-T3, so I can't even say that. But the X-T30 did not live up to its hype, in my opinion. Because I was expecting a lot, being on a Micro Four Thirds system, going to an APS-C Fujifilm X-T30. I thought, you know, this could be it. I could be like a Fuji guy, right, from here on out. And I was just so disappointed because the hype didn't live up to the actual performance in the camera in terms of, you know, colors and blah, blah, blah. I was not, my expectations were way too high compared to the hype. I'm the worst videographer. They're boring and suck. Yeah, me too. I'm not that good a videographer. I mean, look at my whole channel. Yeah, I make videos, right? But they're very simple. I just sit down and start talking, kind of like I am now. Robin's really stepped up his game in his videos. Some of his are, you know, really good. And Peter, the same thing. He's really improved a lot from his beginning videos. But you could watch, if it wasn't for my gray hair, you could watch a video that I made 3 years ago compared to today, and you wouldn't know when I made one, right? Did I make this one yesterday or did I make this one 3 years ago? They're pretty much the same, right? You know, my thought is I just need to get the message across or whatever it is I'm trying to teach, and you know, that's it, right? And I'd really love to be able to do the kind of content that I see. I don't know, but it takes so much time and overhead to take your videography up another level from where I'm at now that and it's not going to be any better for anybody as a beginner, right? Really, you know, my channel, basically, I'm trying to teach something, I don't have to be all fancy pants about it, right? Although it might get me more viewers, more subscribers, if I could step up my game in videography and, and then of course some other things in the content side, but uh, uh yeah, I'm a little frustrated myself with videography. Like the video I just put out today, earlier before the stream, has a little bit of a Star Wars or Star Trekky kind of thing in the beginning. And I couldn't get that right. I got stuck. So towards the first 15 or 20 seconds, if you watch that video, there's like this star field coming at you. And I got the I can't even remember what camera it was, EM5 Mark III, kind of turning, and then I wanted to have it to fly off into space, like away from the camera. But every time I did that, the entire frame would shrink. And I'm like, why? Why? And I couldn't figure it out. So I had, if you watch the video, I had the camera turning and then come into the frame instead of going away from the frame like I wanted, because I couldn't figure it out. And I said, yeah, I was getting a headache. I said, forget it. People are going to have to deal with it, just, and it didn't make any difference to what I had to talk about anyway. It was just kind of some special. So anytime I try to do something kind of fancy on video, the overhead just, it cranks up, and then, the render times, and I don't know. Anyhow, let's see. God, where am I? 4:38. So I am now only 7 minutes behind here. Okay, try MSI or Asus Ryzen. Okay, old player. They're still lacking the higher end GPUs though. You can't get more than a 1660 Ti or even a 2060 Max Q. I really want to get a 2070 Max P. So I can get the full 256-bit, memory bandwidth and the extra tensor cores, all of that fun stuff, which just, it's not quite there. If I can get that combined with an 8-core Ryzen, I'm buying it, but I haven't seen it yet. Still have your old Billingham. Wow, that's an old bag. And Lauren is backing me up on Photoscape X. He uses it. It's great. And Billingham, I believe, is a bag. Since I only use my photos and or video for my website or posting on social, the quality of the final production is not so critical. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're just doing it for fun, so it can be as good or bad as you want. It doesn't matter, right? For me, I have to have at least a certain minimum quality, but I've kind of hit this plateau, right? On Windows or Apple PC, you can pick up photo. Okay, good. So Photoscape you can get on both. That's good to know. And robtrek has a series of videos about using Olympus Workspace. Yes, I have started a series. It's not kind of an A to Z thing. It's about what does this do? What does that do? I think what's more useful are my live stream editing sessions, which I need to do. I don't even know what time that one starts, but very soon. Funny story, was in the Apple store today and had my Olympus camera with me. Apple Genius was also an MFT fan. We talked about how MFT takes better pictures than smartphones. Yep. In Linux, you may go with System 76. You can add Windows to it yourself. Okay. I never got into Linux because I need to use Photoshop in Lightroom. Heard any more on the M1X firmware? No, I have not, Randy. Nice view from your spaceship, Rob. Yep. Oh, you're welcome. I want astrofocus. I haven't heard. I don't know why they couldn't add it. Unless they tweak something on the sensor's focusing system to be able to do that, then they may never add it to other cameras. But if it's purely software based, they should be able to add it. Oh, you're not a fan of Jared or Tony. I like Jared. I like Jared Poland's channel. I like Tony and Chelsea. Mostly Chelsea I like. uh I'm a big fan of Jared. He's very entertaining. He has a very big personality, and he takes the news, he has a photo news fix thing. I like his channel. he just, you know, him and Camera Conspiracies, they make photography is just entertaining. I mean, if either of them annoy you, because they have these personalities where you either love them or you hate them, right? Um, uh, so, but I think, you know, like Jared, you know, you'd think I would hate Jared Poland, right? Because he hates Micro Four Thirds, but uh, it's okay. I still like his channel a lot, actually. And I like to watch Chelsea. And Tony is a lot like, actually, Tony and I have a lot in common. You know, we have some similar backgrounds in corporate world, technical background, except he he went with, you know, he used to write books and technical manuals on networking. I think I heard him say that in an old video. But I used to be kind of in the computer, technical programming, data networking, all that stuff. What I find interesting is Canon brand is that they are making their own sensors, making cameras in Japan, and have reputation for great color science, whatever that means. Yeah, Canon is still selling like crazy. I've always liked the Canon colors though. When I had my compact Canons, I still have them, my compact Canon cameras. What is it, the S100 from like 20 years ago? I thought they took great pictures. I haven't tried any of their new cameras though. Oh, thank you, Valdez. Your strength is that you are a good teacher. That's why I watch. Thank you. Sometimes I connect with people to my teaching style, right? Uh, Sometimes it connects really well with people. Other people, you know, because I haven't found another channel that teaches like mine does, like in like just step by step, detail, right? So if that connects with you, great. Some people, you know, they have to put my videos on 2x or 4x speed and watch it like in half the time. So if you're kind of on the edge about my channel, just try doing 2x speed in YouTube, right? And then you might really enjoy it a lot more. And if that doesn't do it, then yeah, maybe I'm not the right guy. Check out Robin or Peter. Robin and Peter and Jimmy Chang. Oh, that reminds me about Jimmy Chang. I saw something today. Rick, man, I got a couple of closing things I need to talk about. So just hop over to Jimmy Chang's channel. On his community tab, he has some message about how he's taking a break because of some urgent family things. So whatever that is, I wish you the best, Jimmy, and I hope things work out. Uh, you know, anything we can do as a community, let me know. But yeah, Jimmy Chang has something going on, but he, you know, he has a great channel too. And then Rick, you know, Rick Bear, who comes into the chat rooms a lot, if you haven't heard, is going through uh some kind of surgery, open heart surgery or something. He's having a bypass, I think. But it's, yeah, it's a big deal. Now the surgery itself is very common, high success rate, so it's a very low risk in the condition that he's in, because he's, you know, he's a picture of health otherwise. But you know, hearts and prayers go out to Rick as well. So you can put him in your prayers tonight. That would be great. And Jimmy Chang. Oh crap! I lost my place. Buy Final Cut Pro. Oh, that's not me. And Rob, do not change your videos. You are always bright and to the point. Never change a winning team. I couldn't if I tried. Trust me, I've been doing this 3.5 years now. Nothing has changed. Even though I mentally I'm thinking I got to do this better, and I try to do better every time, and nothing changes. So even when I try to change, nothing changes. We are who we are, right? Um, Sager has cutting edge NVIDIA GPUs. Okay. I'll have to look. I've never heard of them. Randy, Sager computers. There's a good chance. Nature says there is a good post-pro color, etc. in Final Cut Pro. Oh, that's not for me. I'm almost 60,000 away from 2 million views on Google Maps. Wow. You're one of those guys, right? When you go to Google Maps and you see all these pictures of stuff? That's awesome. I missed the whole conversation about the Canon R6. I saw a little clip on Frono's Photo today about that camera. But it's gone now. I can't remember what he said anymore. I wouldn't be able to participate in that conversation anyway. I want the old Mitani OM1, EM1 Mark I style 35. Yeah. Nature with music. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's one from here. Arthur says, for me, you are the go-to channel for Olympus how-to and said, oh, thanks. Yeah, I've only been doing YouTube for about 3.5 years. 3.5. And photography really only since middle of 2012, like digital photography. And then there was like this long hiatus between the mid 80s until 2012 where I didn't do any photography. I think I'm all caught up. This is awesome. I probably missed 1,000 questions though. So if you have anything I want me to answer in the next few minutes, just ask me now, because I'm caught up now. I'm a natural teacher. Gee, thanks. I owe it to my mom because she asks me something almost every day, and I have to explain it to her step by step and write it down. She writes it down and takes notes. So, oh, James says I learned about my Mark V II from you. Oh, okay, awesome. And Roman can really use more hits on his sights. Of course, we love Rob, so hits keep coming here. Roman Trotman, who is that? I don't know who Roman Trotman is. Oh yeah, we gotta edit photos. Let me see what time I set up the photo editing session. Give me a second. I have to go to my channel. Live now. Upcoming live streams. Oh crap, we're starting in 4 minutes. So, okay, everybody, thanks for coming in. Sorry I can't stay. Look at the time, man. How much is that R6? 2,700 pounds. Yeah, I think they were talking about that. I didn't see the pricing. What do you think about dummy batteries for the EM5 webcam? Hard to find, but I've never used one. In 4 minutes, okay. Oh crap, I have to go. So thanks for everybody for coming in. Man, I can't believe almost 2 hours. So you guys have an awesome week. What is today? It's Thursday. So have a great weekend. I'll be back on Sunday for another live stream, photo chat, everything. So you guys have been awesome today. I appreciate your time, and we'll see everybody. If you want to come join me in the photo editing live stream, we can do that too. So we'll talk to you later. Thanks again.